Hi everyone, it's Sorakirin here. I've been planning on doing a fanfic reading for a while. I just haven't gotten around to the right story, and well, since everyone's been suggesting to me do Silent Ponyville, well, I decided that I might as well. So, without further ado, Silent Ponyville, Chapter 1, by JakeHeritagu. Pinkie Pie's eyes shot open. Her face was buried in her wet pillow, stained from her tears. She quivered as she very gently tried to lift herself up from the bed. She was afraid of seeing her bed soaked, covered in blood, evidence of a horrific deed she had committed. But her bed was dry, save for her tears. She gently placed a hoof to her face, feeling the still fresh tears on her cheek. She shivered as her hair moved to cover her eye, still in shock at the sights she had seen. How could I? The vivid images of the nightmares she had just slept through came back in her mind. Horrifying cries rang vividly in her ears. Her coat soaked with blood, the feeling of slicing open another living being. It felt so real. Pinkie Pie shook her head viciously, trying to remove these thoughts from her head. Excuse me a moment, I need to take a quick drink. Why am I having these dreams? She rammed her hooves into her head, trying to stop the images that were assaulting her. For the past 2 weeks, she'd been having restless nights of sleep. She was having nightmares every night. The severity of what they showed was getting worse and worse with each one. The first dream hadn't been too scary. She was just attacked by a monster. She had shrugged it off easily. And it wasn't too different from a normal day, really. From there, the monsters changed. One night, she was attacked by the Pony of Death, who wanted her soul for damnation. Another night, it was a faceless slender pony, whose presence quaked her very being. Then the next night, she suffered from a disease and starvation as her body had begun to rot, but she was denied death from the pain. She could handle those dreams. They weren't real after all. A good party with her friends made all those scary thoughts go away. She'd tried changing her diet for a day to see if the bad dreams would go away. And it worked for a night, but only for a night. The next night she had dreamt of being a monster, one with sharp teeth and claws. She was the monster, and she had attacked and eaten herself. She still remembered the gagging taste the dream had left in her mouth. The next dream had her terrorizing ponies throughout Ponyville. She'd wrecked homes, crops, products, and lives. Then, the next night, she attacked each of her friends. She could feel the berserk rage of the monster as it had slashed and tore them apart indiscriminately. But at least it was a quick death. Her friends didn't suffer in that dream. But the last night was different. It was personal. She was a monster again last night, but it was different. She was just herself. No fangs, no claws, no berserk rage, but a monster. In the dream, she had captured her friend, her dearest friend, Rainbow Dash. She had taken sharp objects and Pinkie dashed to her bathroom before emptying the contents of her stomach into the toilet, as the vivid images of what she'd done in her dream flashed before her once more. She felt wretched. How could her mind even come anywhere close to thinking of such horrible, horrific things? She loved her friends. She loved them more than the sun, than her sweets, than her parties, than her life itself. Especially Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash was the coolest, the most awesome, fun-loving pony she'd ever met. If she wanted to just hang out and have fun or pull some pranks or share some sweets or help throw a great party, it was Rainbow Dash who was there for her. She wiped her mouth as she groggily looked at herself in the mirror. Her mane was straight, her eyes were bloodshot, with bags under her eyes. Her coat was dull with a sickly look, and she was breathing quite heavily. She looked terrible. She ran some cold water and repeatedly splashed her face with it. She really, really, really wanted to go see Rainbow Dash. She had to know if she was okay, but at the same time, she couldn't do it until the memories of that dream had faded some more. And she had to get out of Sugar Cube Corner for the day. She wouldn't be able to hold back any more of her stomach if she even smelled a cupcake. Quick sip. Not so bad so far. Pinkie tried to stay in the shadows of the buildings as she quietly walked through Ponyville. The fresh air and warm sun weren't any comfort today. She didn't want to look at any pony either, worried their faces would trigger another flash of the awful images in her mind. She had nowhere in her mind to go. She just had to wander. She had to get away from Sugar Cube Corner, from her room, from anything that would remind her. She looked up and around. She had lost track of how much time had passed since she started her little trek. Thankfully, no one had stopped to ask her why she was acting so differently today. She knew the other ponies had started to notice dips in her cheeriness. Ever since the dreams, she'd been throwing more parties than ever before. But more and more, they weren't enough. Twilight had even asked her if something was the matter, and she'd done her best to reassure her friend. Wait, Twilight. Twilight was a great magical pony. If any pony could figure out a way to stop these dreams, she did. She winced at the idea of having to tell Twilight all about the horrific things her mind had imagined her about her and her friends. But maybe she wouldn't have to. Twilight might find a solution without having to know what the dreams were of. She picked up her pace, running straight for the library. It didn't take her long. She figured her body must have taken her here by instinct. It did have a funny way of working that way. She ran to the door and knocked a little frantically. It didn't take long for the door to creak open. "Oh, hey, Pinkie Pie," Twilight said, surprised but happy to see her friend. "Is this an invitation to a party again?" Twilight stopped as she blinked, noticing the distressed look of her friend. "Are you all right, Pinkie? You don't look so good." No, I'm not good, Twilight. Can I come in?" said Pinkie, minding her manners for once. "Of course, Pinkie. Please, make yourself at home," Twilight said, offering her friend hospitality. Okay, Twilight, and this is just me interjecting something. When Pinkie Pie doesn't barge into your house, there's something wrong. I hope she realizes this. Anyway, "Thank you," Pinkie said as she quietly trotted into the house. She quickly headed for the table in the center of the room, and on one of the red velvet pillows before it, she rested her head on the table, closing her eyes as she took a soft sigh to try and relax, remembering her friend's favorite hot beverage. "Can I get you something to drink, or perhaps some hot chocolate?" Twilight said. "No sweets, please. If you have some coffee, that'd be great. No cream or sugar," Pinkie softly groaned. "No sweets?" Oh shit, no sweets. So clearly this is where things get serious. Twilight, no wait, no sweets? Twilight said in shock. "Oh my, this really is serious," she said as quickly as she'd prepared her friend for the hot drink she'd requested. She levitated it before Pinkie, who groggily took it and began to drink. She grimaced at the bitter taste. "Pinkie, what's the matter? You can tell me," Twilight said, sitting down next to her downcast friend. Twilight could see the signs. Her mane was straight, her coat was dull, her eyes bloodshot with bags under them, and most noticeable of all, she wasn't radiating the energetic aura of Pinkie Pie. "Oh, Twilight, it's awful," Pinkie put her hooves on her head. "It's the most awful thing that's ever happened to me. I can't even believe what's happening to me. It's so awful. I can't sleep. I can't rest. Even parties aren't helping. I need relief. I need to stop this, but everything I've tried only seems to make it worse," Pinkie said, her voice quivering. Twilight couldn't help but be surprised at how terrified her friend sounded. Pinky, tell me, what exactly is this awful thing that has happened? Twilight tried to reassure Pinky that everything would be all right. Pinky took a big breath, steeling her nerves. I've been having nightmares, Twilight, Pinky finally said. Awful, horrible, restless nightmares. I was throwing more parties to forget them, but they keep coming. I tried changing my diet. I tried relaxing before bed. I even tried falling asleep with in a handstand with a lemon in my mouth while in the shower. Nothing works. And last night's nightmare was the worst of them all. Nightmares? Twilight said, tapping her chin for a moment. 1 second, as she got up and quickly ran over to a bookshelf. She began to pull out books, checking them out, scanning them one by one. No, not you. You're not right either. Oh, wait. No, not you. You're not right either. Yeah, I had to redo that. It took about 10 minutes before Twilight finally pulled a book and looked at it satisfied. Aha, she said, trotted back as she trotted back to the table, opening the book, flipping through the pages quickly. Nightmares. Twilight began after having stopped on a specific page. A dream of strong negative emotions, a common occurrence that most ponies will experience. However, if the nightmares should persist or become more terrifying with each episode, it could be for several reasons. External forces such as medication or diet, which we've already ruled out, Twilight added as an addendum. External stress from recent physical or mental events or caused by a psychological event from any time during a pony's life that has left to a deep impact. There are several ways to determine what kind of nightmare is being experienced, but what the best manner of treating them are, Twilight said silently before reading the next part. Oh, wait. There's several experience between marriage. Oh, and what best marriage treating them are. Okay. So that book can help me stop the nightmares, Pinky asked, hope rising in her heart. Looks that way. Of course, it can't stop you from having nightmares for the rest of your life, though. They're a normal part of sleep, but it can help you with your constant nightmare issue. There's a spell in here that'll let me look into your mind and see the memories of your dreams. That way I can help you, I can see what you've been dreaming about and apply the proper spell and try to help. The hope that had risen inside Pinkie Pie fell into her gut like a boulder into a lake. No, no, Twilight, Pinkie said, shaking her head furiously. You can't see my dreams. There. Pinkie covered her face with her hooves. They're too horrible, Twilight. I don't want any pony to see what I've seen. Her voice was trembling. Tears were threatening to leave her eyes once more. She looked up when she felt Twilight's hoof placed against her shoulder, the look of concern on her face. I can't imagine what kind of dreams you've been having, Pinkie, but I can see the pain on your face. It's affecting who you are, and I can't just let this go. You came to me for help, and I'm going to help you. Please, you have to let me see what you've seen, that I can help. Twilight pleaded to her friend. Pinkie lowered her head as she held back the tears burning at her with all her might, swallowing hard as she knew her friend wanted to make everything better and might have the power to do so. Twilight, Pinkie muttered in a hushed breath, holding back a sob. Yes, what is it, Pinkie? Twilight asked in a similar hushed voice. Please, you have to promise me that what you're about to see won't change your opinion of me. Pinkie sniffed deeply. I swear, Pinkie, I won't think of you as anything but a dear friend I know and love. Twilight said. Pinkie saw her smile. It was so reassuring, so comforting. Pinkie Pie swear? Pinkie asked one last time. Twilight just seemed a little amused. Cross my heart and hope to fly, stick a cupcake in my eye. Twilight did the motions of the Pinkie Pie swear, mimicking sticking a pastry into her face. Pinkie took a moment to let it sink in, then squeezed her eyes shut and lowered her head a little. All right, trust you, Twilight, Pinkie Pie softly muttered, as she did her best to prepare for whatever was going to happen next. Twilight nodded softly, as she remembered the spell from the book, her horn glowing with a light as she concentrated on it. She gently swept her hair covering Pinkie's forehead behind her ear to hold it, then gently tapped the tip of her horn against Pinkie's skull. And here we go. Leave me alone! The slender pony approached regardless. The static screeched at her as it drew closer. Pain shocked her body from one side to the other as blood seemed to splatter and cloud her vision, turning the world red. She fell to her knees, trying to grasp reality before the pain and sound became too much to bear. There was a hole in her body. She could feel the worms wriggling in it, crawling up into her torso. They were eating her alive. The pain clawed into her very soul, but yet death would not come. Her body lay there, unflinching as the insects had their way, feeling every wriggle and slime of their bodies as they slid under her sin. Bones crunched in her teeth as blood dripped down her chin. The fresh taste of gooey flesh slid down her throat. Sharp teeth bore down again and into the side of an earth pony's neck as the pony's head fell from her body, giving her a good chunk of flesh to chew. The taste was revolting, but she craved it. She had to have it. She had to have more. Her teeth dug into the pony's skull, crushing the skull as the inner organs began to dribble into her mouth. She had to have more. This one would never be enough. Damn! Holy crap! I thought Cupcakes was horrifying. Well, this is nearly not as bad as Cupcakes, but still a bit on the, yeah, let's continue. The screams had died down for now, but that wouldn't last for long. Why? Why are you doing this? It was the pained and frantic cry of Rainbow Dash. She could see her tied down to a table, wings already sawn off by her own hooves. Oh, Rainbow Dash, every pony dies sometime, her voice betrayed her as she pulled out a scalpel. It's a simple concept, really. You just have to think of it. Did my life mean you just have to think, did my life mean anything? Did I die with a purpose? Will my memory be left when I'm gone? All are important questions, you see. She walked towards Rainbow Dash. She could feel the murderous intent grasping at every fiber of her being. But, Rainbow Dash hiccuped through the pain and tears, I won't have died for a good purpose if you kill me. Twilight, Rainbow sobbed. How could you do this to me? She raised her hoof and petted Rainbow Dash's face. She leaned in close to her. There was an attraction she could never describe as having felt before. Her breath was hot and her body betrayed her mind. Oh, Rainbow Dash, if you don't know the reason by now, you'll never understand. This is just how things have to be. She stepped back from her prisoner. Rainbow only looked confused, but she would rectify that soon. She gripped her scalpel and placed it at the base of Rainbow's hip, and sliced down her leg. Pain overtook Rainbow's face and voice as she began her delicate slicing operation. After all, she had to prepare the ingredients to be just right. Twilight stumbled back. Her head kicked back instantly, wanting to escape from the horrors inside of Pinkie's mind. Twilight crashed into a bookcase, causing a cascade of books to fall onto her. She was breathing heavily. Frantic and panicked, the spell had only taken a few seconds to complete, but the rush of all the dreams' memories flooded into her at once. Those dreams were horrific and so real. She had felt everything in those dreams, even though the dreams should not have normally contained such vivid feelings. The monster that attacked her, the feeling of bugs crawling all throughout her skin and organs, the gagging taste of flesh in her throat, the torture, the acts she'd committed. She wanted to vomit. Twilight? Came a scared, timid, almost hushed voice. Twilight snapped from her thoughts and looked at her pink friend. She was trembling with fear as tears streamed down her eyes. That was right. These were the dreams that Pinky was having, the dreams that were terrifying her, the dreams that she had come to her for help with. Pinky, Twilight finally muttered, swallowing back her own emotions and stomach contents. I had no idea, she said shakily, getting to her feet and slowly walking back to her friend. She had to be strong right now. Twilight, Pinky sniffed through her sobs. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you saw them. She closed her eyes, gasping for air through her sobs. Twilight quickly moved next to Pinky, taking her into an embrace to hold her tight. Pinky cried desperately into Twilight's shoulder. Twilight held her dear friend, making sure she had all of her support. The images may have made her stomach twist, but her friend was more important than that. It's okay, Pinky, Twilight said once Pinky's sobs had started to calm down. I can see how much these dreams have been eating at you. The Pinky in those dreams is not you. We just have to figure out why you're having them, Twilight said, letting her friend dearly know that she had in fact kept her promise. The Pinky in her arms was nothing like the Pinky that appeared in the dreams. Pinky slowly nodded her head in agreement, before finally being able to stop her tears and let go of Twilight. Twilight turned to her book and flipped a few pages. Since we know it's not your diet, we need to determine if it's because of recent events or if it's something much deeper in your psyche. So let's start there. When did the dreams start happening? Well, Pinky rubbed her face, trying to dry it some. The dreams started about a few days after the Grand Galloping Gala, and they've been happening about every night for the last 2 weeks. They didn't happen one night after I did change my diet, but then they just came back the next day, Pinky said, trying to recall how often she'd had them. Well, the gala was a pretty big incident. You certainly seemed fine at the donut shop, but what about after that? You said you had some business to attend to before you headed back to Ponyville. So we didn't see you again till we were headed to the chariot, Twilight wondered. Well, after I'd spent some time with you guys, I went and met with my sister Octavia. She was the one playing the cello on stage during the gala. She was the main reason I was able to get away with my music antics while there. I wanted to go thank her for helping me try to liven things up. Pinky's recalled the night. She was a little mad at me at first for the mess I'd caused, but she forgave me and we ended up having a very fun chat about what we'd both been up to since we'd left the farm. After a little while, it was time for me to go, so we promised we'd keep in better touch. Twilight pondered this. Do you think it was that meeting with your sister that could have started the dreams? Twilight asked curiously. I wouldn't understand that if she did, Pinky said, putting a hoof to her chin in thought. We had fun that night. There wasn't anything that she said that was negative. Have you gotten a letter from her yet? I did get one, but it was just letting me know that she was going to be performing at a concert in Philadelphia. She said that her band was touring around, so if I wanted to send her letters, I'd have to address them to her band since the mail carriers know where they'll be, Pinky said, tilting her head in thought. Again, there was nothing negative, though. Well, what about the last 2 weeks, then? You seemed mostly fine, other than a few instances where you weren't as chipper, Twilight said, remembering Pinkie Pie was a little less hyper than usual the last few days. She certainly could understand why now, though. No, nothing significant. I've been throwing more parties because of the dreams, but it's just been life as usual in Ponyville, Pinky said, shaking her head slowly. I see. Twilight went to her book, back to her book, consulting her book, scanning the pages of the book, flipping through some more, looking for what would be best to handle this. Here we are. It's another spell. This one is a bit more of a mind delve. Its intention is to find the source of your problems, though. It'll let us find out why you're having these dreams, be it a minor or major reason, Twilight said confidently. So don't worry, Pinky. I'm going to make sure you'll be all better in no time. She gave her friend a confident smile. Thank you, Twilight, Pinky said, giving a soft smile back. All right, the book says the spell can be a little disorienting at first, but that you'll get used to it. You ready? Twilight asked. Pinky gave her a nod. Then here goes nothing, Twilight said, taking a deep breath as she concentrated once more, her horn flaring up with light. She lowered it towards Pinky's forehead once more and gently touched her. Pinky's mind did a flip and felt like it fell into a hazy fog. She lost track of her surroundings as it felt like she was falling from a very far height. The world was spinning around her as she felt like wind was rushing past her. Her stomach was rolling inside of her as she was inside of this intense feeling. She wondered just how long she was going to feel this way. When she finally felt the world stabilizing with a thud that knocked the wind out of her, she gasped for breath, coughing a bit before feeling the sensation of ground beneath her. She lifted her head and shook it up lightly before slowly opening her eyes. Was she still in the library? She was still in the library, that was for sure, but Twilight was missing. Why would she have left her alone in the library? Twilight, she called out. The only thing that came back was a hollow echo. This was bizarre. The library seemed eerily quiet, even more so than usual when Twilight wasn't around. She looked onto the table, noticing two things on it, a bag and a note. She carefully read the words on the note. You must cross the darkness to see the light. Pinky looked at this piece of paper, a little confused. Did Twilight write this? If she did, what did it mean? Was she supposed to take this bag with her? Twilight must have known what she was doing after all. She wouldn't just abandon her without a good reason. Pinky opened the bag, looking to see if there was anything inside it. There were two things inside. The first one was obvious what it was. It was a lantern. Inside was oil with a wick. There was a knob on the side. She assumed it would turn the lantern on. If she was going to use it, she'd have to make sure not to use up all the oil. She gently placed the lantern back in the bag. This kind of sounds like Amnesia the Dark Descent, not Silentville. Alright, well, let's keep going. What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. Okay, anyway, back to the seriousness. What's this? She asked as she pulled out a rectangular device. It had a dial on it and an antenna, but it wasn't an object that she was familiar with. It had a face like a picture on it, with a circle on it that had holes. In her mind, it was kind of looked like a miniature phonograph. But how would this tiny thing play music? In her hoof, it began to spring to life, playing a soft static sound. Pinky dropped it, surprised by the sudden sound. She stared at it as it buzzed. The sound seemed like a bunch of bees being mixed through a DJ table. She poked the device with her hoof. After a few moments, the buzzing stopped. Pinky looked confused, but had the gut instinct that it must be something important. She placed it back in the bag. I guess Twilight believed I needed this bag. I'll keep her advice then, Pinky muttered to herself as she carefully strapped the bag onto her neck, or to her back. She then looked around. The library seemed to hold no more clues for the moment, so she decided to step outside. She felt more comfortable now than she had now that she had visited Twilight, so maybe she could go visit Rainbow Dash now. Huh? Pinky said, stopping short of a few feet out the door. A thick fog had fallen all around Ponyville. It was so thick she couldn't see the buildings next to the library. She'd have to get close to a building if she wanted to see one. Then she started to shiver as a wind blew by. The temperature had fallen a significant amount. What's going on? I've never seen this kind of weather in Ponyville before, Pinkie said, confused. Did Rainbow Dash do this? Why would she? Pinkie knew she had to find Rainbow Dash and talk to her. Now. She quickly began to run off in the direction she knew Rainbow's house to be. She was in full gallop when she suddenly realized she had come to a full stop. She skidded along the ground, stopping along an edge, a few pebbles getting kicked loose and falling in front of her. There was a gigantic chasm that had never been in Ponyville, right before her. It cut right down the road to Rainbow's house. In fact, it cut off the entire way outside of Ponyville if you didn't have wings. What's going on? She asked as she stared into what seemed like a bottomless pit. And that is the end of chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you want me to continue this. I greatly appreciate it. Let's start this first fanfic reading video out with a bang. So, rate, comment, subscribe, as I sound redundant, and have a good day.